Match analysis and goals as they go in from every single Premier League match.
A line of bodies along the edge of the 6-yard box. Ericsson just rifles it in, and Harry Kane is there to head in almost on the goal line. More Premier League goals in a calendar year than any other player in history.
Every game is covered. Get involved in debates, ask in-game questions to our commentary team, and get goal updates with @TalkSport Live on Twitter.
Edge of the box is Solanke. Through to Mo Salah! Who scores? Number 32! Mo Salah, the record breaker for Liverpool!
Kick-by-kick commentary, expert opinion, international coverage of the world's most exciting football league. Premier League Live. Brought to you by TalkSport Live.
Welcome back, 13 minutes away from kick-off at Goodison Park. Everton unbeaten so far with a win and 3 draws from their 4 games. West Ham without a single solitary point from their opening quartet of matches. Let's get the thoughts of the 2 managers then ahead of this one, Marco Silva and Manuel Pellegrini.
Of course, it's not the best thing for me as for us as a coach. For me as a manager, it's not the best thing. If you stay with all of them working, it's better to settle everything, to don't change every time because the injuries or some red cards as well, to change every time our starting 11. It's important for us to start to win some routines between the players, and if you keep more or less the same players working every day, it's easier to happen this situation. But okay, it's the football. You have to be ready to work in this way as well and to find the solutions for the match.
I don't think that because you lose 4 games, you must not be confident. In the opposite side, in this moment, I trust more than ever what I do because it's not the first time that I'm doing this same work. It's not the first time that in my career we have some bad results. All the club have bad results in one moment of the season. It's not good to start with so bad results, but we're absolutely confident that we're going to reverse. I know the way they think, the owners or Karen, I spoke with all of them before we start this project here at West Ham. Of course, it's always important that you know that they are supporting you. Maybe it's not normal or nobody expected to lose the 4 first game, but that will not change. At least my mind. So if the owners and Karen continue thinking the same way, that's always a very good.
Well, the thoughts of the 2 managers there. Marco Silva rather inevitably slightly more upbeat than Manuel Pellegrini, who was defiant in what he said. He's changed things around a lot, Steve, for West Ham today. One of the criticisms, I think, has been a lack of pace in midfield. I'm not entirely sure that's going to be remedied by Declan Rice, who's traditionally a centre-half coming into the midfield 3, and also Andrei Yarmolenko and Felipe Anderson, both big signings in the summer, neither of which really have produced as yet. So West Ham, I think he's talked about confidence, he's talked about them not panicking, but really what they need is just somebody to grab them by the scruff of the neck and start getting performances out of these players.
Well, that's exactly what they need, and they need a result to kickstart their season, really, and obviously this is the next chance for them. Everything that's happened previously is gone, it's done, it can't be changed. It's all about now and the future for them, and they've got to really start getting results on the board as quick as possible, and they will see this as a chance today. Everton with a few injuries, and they do struggle to keep clean sheets, Everton, so they will see this as an opportunity. They have had difficult times against Everton over previous seasons and over the years, so they'll also look at that, but they've got to get a result. They need a result, even if it's just a draw, just to get them off the mark.
I mean, Pellegrini is a sort of manager, he likes to play offensive football. I guess perhaps that was easy for him with Manchester City, with the amount of money they had and the quality of the players they got. But when you look at West Ham's season, they've only scored 2 goals. Only one player has scored for them, Marko Arnautovic, and they've conceded 10 at the back. So, they need to get both aspects right, don't they?
Yeah, when your philosophy is to attack and try and score goals, when you start struggling and conceding goals and not scoring goals, then it becomes a big problem. If you've got that philosophy and you're scoring a lot of goals and you're winning football matches, the defending side of it, for me, is not a huge problem. But that is a problem now for West Ham at the moment. They've scored 2 goals all season, and they're shipping goals at the opposite end. So Pellegrini is obviously looking to try and sort that out, and it's going to be difficult for them when you get into a rut like that. It can be very difficult to get out, but they need something to kickstart their season. Maybe today will be the day for them.
It's been a strange kind of attitude really for West Ham. I mean, they had David Moyes, who was seen as a pragmatic manager, somebody who obviously knows the Premier League inside out, knows the English-British game inside out, but was deemed as not very glamorous. What they've done is they've replaced him with Pellegrini, who's associated with Manchester City winning titles and winning League Cups, and yet, with all that money spent, they're bored of, they've gone big, they've spent big money, but it's not worked out. It's almost like Everton were last season under Ronald Koeman.
Yeah, and 2 very contrasting styles there, like you alluded to with David Moyes and Pellegrini. But at least David Moyes was getting results. But like you say, it's never going to be attractive. Very similar to the Everton situation with Sam Allardyce. So it's getting that balance, isn't it? It's getting results and getting how fans want teams to play and how owners want teams to play and how owners want the public to perceive a certain football club. But at the moment in time, it's not working for West Ham United, and they find themselves firmly rooted to the bottom of the Premier League, which is probably not what they were expecting before the season started.
What's your view of Marco Silva's start at Everton? Obviously, there's all sorts of controversy about his arrival. There is the potential of an inquiry into Watford's complaint that Silva was tapped up. They could even be fined or even have a points deduction. So, all of that is not ideal behind the scenes. But what's your view of what he's brought to them on the pitch?
On the pitch, they've obviously been very different from last season, and again he's chopped and changed his side, but one thing for me that has stuck out, that he hasn't been able to stop them shipping goals. Yes, they've picked up a result and they remain unbeaten, but 3 of those are draws, as we've already alluded to. But for me, the big thing is they've got to stop shipping goals and keeping clean sheets. If Everton can start keeping clean sheets, then they'll win a lot more football matches. But that's been the biggest problem for them this season, and it was last season as well.
Yeah, Yerry Mina, of course, they brought in the Colombian international. Remember, scored 3 goals in the World Cup, and one of which was against England late on in the round of 16. Unfortunately for them, though, he's not available. He's still injured. Michael Keane and Phil Jagielka are also out. They've lost Seamus Coleman as well. So defensively, it's been difficult for him. He's got John Joe Kenny arrived back today, replacing Coleman. Mason Holgate, who's perhaps better known as a fullback. Kurt Zuma, who was at relegated Stoke last season, and a new signing in Lucas Digne. So it's going to take a while, isn't it, for that back 4 to gel?
Yeah, and he's had to shuffle the pack a little bit as well. As you mentioned, John Joe Kenny comes in, which is pretty much a straight swap for Coleman, really, who was unlucky picking up an injury. But this will be an opportunity for him to stake a claim and for a regular starting place in the team. And they've also had to change the centre-back pairings, and they've had various other problems amongst it. So there's opportunities for other players to come in and stake a claim. Tom Davis drops to the bench again today. So the Everton will look at this match and they'll think, well, this is a good opportunity for us to pick up 3 points and keep our unbeaten run going, and add another 3 points to the board against the struggling West Ham side.
Well, it'll be an interesting one. We're 5 minutes away from kick-off. We have the whole of the game live coming up for you. You're listening to Premier League Live.
The Premier League preview show with Talk Sport.
Sanchez wants runners. There's 6 players on the edge of the area to aim for. One is Smalling! Unbelievable scenes at the Etihad Stadium. It's 3-2 to Manchester United.
Talk Sport's Premier League experts give their views ahead of the weekend's action.
Southampton struggling down the bottom. We're joined by a survivor of their great escape team in 1999, Francis Bernali. Former Bluebirds defender Danny Gabardine joins us on the Premier League preview show.
Subscribe to the podcast today at talksport.com, and then hear every kick on Premier League Live.
Oxlade-Chamberlain goes down, but he still finds Salah! who makes it 2 to Liverpool. One chance, one goal, number 20 for the Egyptian magician.
Listen to the show on TalkSport.com.
Go to TalkSport.com and sign up now to play the free TalkSport Predictor game. Predict the results of the English Premier League games this season for the chance to win top-flight weekly prizes. From the Gunners getting away goals at Anfield to epic finishes at the Etihad. Click TalkSport.com/predictor and register now for the chance to go top of the table in the ultimate football fan tournament. The TalkSport English Premier League Predictor game. Available online and for free at TalkSport.com/predictor.
If you're outside the UK and Ireland, we've got you covered. TalkSport's international service covers every Premier League match live. Full commentary, pre- and post-match analysis, and goals as they go in from every single Premier League match.
A line of bodies along the edge of the 6-yard box. Eriksen just rifles it in, and Harry Kane is there to head in almost on the goal line. More Premier League goals in a calendar year than any other player in history.
Every game is covered. Get involved in debates. Ask in-game questions to our commentary team and get goal updates with @TalkSport Live on Twitter.
Edge of the box is Solanke. Through to Mo Salah! Who scores? Number 32! Mo Salah, the record breaker for Liverpool.
Kick-by-kick commentary, expert opinion, international coverage of the world's most exciting football league. Premier League Live. Brought to you by TalkSport Live.
There's more to life than football, money and fun. Well, not much.
Kick off the new season with TalkSport's £1 million predictor game.
Register now at TalkSport.com/predictor and play for free throughout the season.
Play it in the van. Play it on the can. Play it with your gran.
Win £1 million sterling.
It's the biggest prize in the history of TalkSport.
The TalkSport £1 million predictor game. Players must be 18 or over. See TalkSport.com/predictor for full conditions.
You're listening to TalkSport's coverage of Everton against West Ham United from Goodison Park. I'm your host, John Anderson. Alongside me is the former Stoke City, Sheffield United and Everton goalkeeper, Steve Simonsen. This is Premier League Live. Well, it could be a potential D-Day for West Ham United. The last time they were in this neck of the woods, just across Stanley Park at Anfield, they were beaten by 4-0. They're still looking for their first point of the season. The 91 other teams in the English professional setup have all got at least a point. West Ham United are the only without. They're rooted to the bottom of the table. However, they could do themselves a favour today with a favourable result, because Burnley's defeat and Newcastle's defeat and Huddersfield Town's defeat mean that West Ham United could actually pull themselves out of the bottom three and as high as 16th place were they to win this game today. But it's a big ask from a team who've only managed 2 goals this season, joint lowest in the Premier League with Huddersfield Town, and have shipped 10 already. As for Everton, well, slightly disappointing result last time out here in this famous old ground when they were held 1-1 at home by Huddersfield Town, but it did at least maintain an unbeaten record for them, albeit with 3 draws. If they were to win big today, Everton, they could move themselves up into 6th place above Manchester United, Arsenal and Tottenham Hotspur. They've actually dropped temporarily down to 10th after Wolves beat Burnley in the early game today. The referee is an experienced man, Martin Atkinson, as the two teams get into formation for the kickoff. You can keep in touch with us via Twitter at TalkSport Live. Let us know where you're listening and what point you want to make, and we'll endeavour to read out as many as we can. Gylfi Sigurdsson is the Everton captain today. West Ham United led by Mark Noble, who's back in the team. There are West Ham United fans singing the team's name. You have to admire them. It's not been a happy away day time for them. They've only won 1 of their last 8 Premier League away games. That was against Leicester City back in May at the end of last season, when they managed to finish 13th. They've only finished once in the top half in the last 8 seasons, West Ham. Just getting out of the bottom 3 is the aim today. As the game gets underway, both teams in their traditional strips. Everton in blue shirts and white shorts. West Ham United in claret and blue. Everton have a fantastic record down the years in the Premier League against the Hammers. They've had more wins, 24, scored more goals, 80, and collected more points, 84, against West Ham than against any other Premier League team they've faced. Here's Mason Holgate just pushing down the right-hand side for West Ham United. He's done well to keep the ball in, but the foot in was timely by Arthur Masuaka, and Everton have a throw-in on the far side of the field, which is going to be taken quickly by John Joe Kenny. And here's Sigurdsson, nice touch, strike by Walcott, and it came off the back of a West Ham United defender and out to safety. Theo Walcott passed a fitness test today, and he's almost on the ball again from a through pass by Idrissa Gueye, but Everton have made a really good start here. Here they come again. Long shot was hit from distance, but without much direction by Lucas Digne, the player they signed from Barcelona in the summer. Good start by Everton.
Yeah, excellent start from Everton. They've played the whole of the first 2 minutes virtually in West Ham's half of the field. A couple of crosses into the box and an effort at goal, which was at the end of the day a poor one, but very positive start from Everton, and the fans will be expecting that from Everton today. They'll be expecting them to get at West Ham, and they'll be expecting 3 points, so we'll see how they get on.
Yeah, indeed. Poor clearance, and Calvert-Lewin is there to win it for Everton. West Ham have barely had a touch so far. Here's Digne again, who blasted wide a moment ago. Decent ball forwards. Calvert-Lewin is trying to squeeze it through to Cenk Tosun, the Turkish international who arrived at the start of the year from Besiktas. Hasn't scored in 6 games for Everton, so he'll be keen to get on the target. Calvert-Lewin was the goal scorer against Huddersfield in the last home game at Goodison Park. Talk of a move away to the shores of the Mersey, still very much alive as West Ham look to get forward for the first time. Felipe Anderson getting down the left-hand side. The ball just knocked away for a throw-in to West Ham. 4 games, 4 defeats. They've lost to Liverpool, Bournemouth, Arsenal and Wolves. The home defeats against Bournemouth and Wolves will have been felt particularly keenly. Anderson sees the ball nicked away from him, and Calvert-Lewin will bring it forward centrally for Everton. He's played a ball out wide with the outside of his right foot, trying to release Tosun, but it was way too far in front of him. And Lucas Fabianski, the goalkeeper who joined West Ham after being relegated with Swansea last season, gets the ball clear. It's an aimless pass by West Ham, who look as if they're playing in a sort of 4-5-1 with Arnautovic on his own up front, Anderson on the left and Yarmolenko on the right.
Yeah, and that's the sort of thing that West Ham can't afford to do today, give the ball away aimlessly like that. You know, they've got to try and keep possession when they do have the ball. You would expect Everton to have a lot of the possession today, being the home team and being expected to get at West Ham. So what they can't do is give the ball away.
Nice move by Everton. Digne has it inside the box, but good cover by West Ham United. The ball just nicked away by Andrei Yarmolenko, who was the goal scorer for Dynamo Kiev, his former club, against Everton in a big win in the Europa League a few years ago. Scored the winner for Ukraine against Slovakia in the international break, which will have given him some confidence. It's not been a great start for him in Premier League football, trying to adjust to it. Here's Theo Walcott, who's of course been a Premier League fixture for so many years, drives the ball forward towards Tosun. It's intercepted by Masuaku, one of the players who's back in the West Ham United side today. It's been all Everton in the opening 5 minutes. Here's Gay, centre midfield, just chips it with his left foot out towards Digne, heads infield. Calvert-Lewin tries to turn, and the ball is headed away from him to safety. But it's Digne wiping the ball on his shirt and preparing to try and take a long throw. 46 appearances for Barcelona, although he was never anything remotely near to being regular for them, given the quality that they have. Arnautovic with the touch for West Ham. Holgate gets it away from Noble, but the Hammers survive. Here's Felipe Anderson, the club's record signing, another who, if you talk to West Ham fans, they haven't quite seen enough of yet and would expect more. Arnautovic again, the only player who's scored for West Ham this season. There's another one who scored against Everton in the past. Here's Rice. Now, Yarmolenko wearing 20 on the right-hand side of the 5-man midfield. Rice is sitting at the base in the middle. Issa Diop brings it forward for the Hammers. Touch out of play. Good start by Everton, but West Ham are finally getting a little bit of a feel of the ball.
Yeah, it took them about 5 or 6 minutes to string a few passes together, because they've been on the back foot for much of those 5 or 6 minutes. No credit to Everton for getting at them, but they've finally started to get a foothold in the game, West Ham.
Manuel Pellegrini looking on, wearing a smart suit, celebrating his 65th birthday today, one of the older managers in the Premier League, younger than Roy Hodgson, but certainly one of the elder statesmen. He'll be hoping for a present in the shape of 3 points. It'll be an unhappy birthday for him. West Ham become only the 4th Premier League side in the current incarnation to actually go 5 games and 5 defeats. Crystal Palace, of course, lost their first 7 last year and ended up surviving reasonably comfortably. Here's Walcott for Everton. That's brilliant by him. The cutback isn't as good. It was really clever. He just pushed it one side of the defender and then ran round the other, and the cutback didn't quite match it. A lovely setup play by Walcott.
Yeah, great run. Gets inside his man. Lovely little touch to beat his man there, and he has so much time to pick someone out. He's looking for Torsen, isn't he? But he just can't beat that first man there. But great play from Walcott.
Yeah, it's a beautiful little touch. The defender was completely sold. The result is that Everton have the game's first corner. It's an outswinger from the right-hand side. It's half cleared. Comes out to Idrissa Gueye, completely misses his kick. Pablo Zabaleta brings it away and is fouled. And that'll be a free kick to West Ham United. Zabaleta, another who's back in the team today. Player who won a title under Manuel Pellegrini with Manchester City in 2014. Pellegrini also won 2 League Cups with the club, but he's got a very, very different job on his hands now. Does not have the likes of David Silva and Sergio Aguero and Vincent Kompany to call on here. This is Rice, who was left out of the Republic of Ireland squad amid a sort of international wrangle between them and England as to who he might play for eventually at international level. He's already represented the Republic, but England apparently are keen on maybe getting him on board. Still Everton dominating. John Joe Kenny, a World Cup winner at under 20 level last year with England, gets the ball forward. It's deflected away. Diop makes the clearance. It comes out to Arnautovic. There's not much support for him at the moment, but manages to link up there with Obiang. Comes to nothing, and Idrissa Gueye drives it forward. Calvert-Lewin is there, controls it, but can't quite kill the ball. It comes off his toe. Lovely through ball by Obiang, and Calvert-Lewin made a great run. He was onside. Difficult skill to take the ball down. Couldn't quite execute it, and it ended up with Fabianski.
Yeah, it was a great ball, wasn't it? And he was just stretching for it, Calvert-Lewin. Then he just tried to take it down on the end of his right toe there, but it was just a stretch too far. But again, impressive from Everton. They've really got at West Ham in these opening 10 minutes and not allowed them to get a foothold in the game and get any meaningful possession. When they do get get possession, they're right into them and trying to win the ball back, and they've hurried West Ham into a few clearances that they've just picked up. So impressive from Everton first 10 minutes.
Yeah, they have been good. Calvert-Lewin's had a good start to the season. He scored 3 goals already. Got 2 in the League Cup against Rotherham to add to the one he got against Huddersfield. Here's Arnautovic. Obiang over the top. Arnautovic is onside here. Brilliant chance for West Ham. They must score. They do! It's swept into the net by Yarmolenko on his first Premier League start. Everton caught on the counter, completely wide open. Unselfish play by Arnautovic, and Andrei Yarmolenko sweeps in a goal, which could be a massive one for West Ham United. 10 minutes gone. Everton 0, West Ham United 1.
It comes from nothing. I mean, Everton are defending high up the pitch. All of a sudden there's a ball played over the top, and Arnautovic is onto it, and tremendous play from him, very unselfish, squares it and gives Yarmolenko the simplest of tasks to beat Jordan Pickford. Completely against the run of play, but you've got to say that they took that really well, West Ham, that when they got forward there, they got behind the Everton back four, and in the end an easy finish for Yarmolenko, but completely against the run of play.
Yeah, absolutely. But you said it, didn't you? Everton look vulnerable at the back, and it's the first time they've been tested.
They just can't keep a clean sheet, Everton. They just can't seem
so open. I mean, Arnautovic had time to control them. We felt that he was going to shoot himself, but Yarmolenko not picked up in acres of space, scored for his international team in a 1-0 win, and he's put West Ham United 1-0 up with his first goal in English football. He got 6 last season in the Bundesliga for Borussia Dortmund. He's got his Premier League account up and running. Here's Calvert-Lewin for Everton. He'll be keen to get back into the game. But after soaking up pressure for 10 minutes, one counter-attack, and West Ham United are suddenly in front, and the Everton fans, who were so optimistic that they could get a win here, which will be only their second of the season, suddenly find themselves with much to do. Idrissa Gueye switches the ball away across to the far side. It's controlled by Theo Walcott, who gets his cross in, but it's too close to Lucas Fabianski. Fabianski and Walcott, of course, former teammates at Arsenal, now in opposition with Everton and West Ham United. And Fabianski was easily able to claim Walcott's cross and clears high. Calvert-Lewin heads it back into the central area, but there's been a push there on Lucas Digne. It's going to be a free kick to Everton. Maurizio Pellegrini's 65th birthday has started the way he would have wanted it to. Much needed goal. Now the question really is whether West Ham can defend it. 10 conceded already in 4 games, conceded 4 at Anfield. Last time they were on Merseyside. Yarmolenko is also the first West Ham player to score this season in the league, other than the man who set it up for him, Marko Arnautovic. Here's John Joe Kenny. It's just about kept in play for Everton. This is Morgan Schneiderlin. Back to Kenny again. Schneiderlin once more, still just inside the West Ham half. It comes back to Mason Holgate, who clips it forward with his right foot up towards Cenk Tosun, who gets there ahead of Issa Diop, and then manages to see the ball bounce off his knee and go out of play. Some pretty stern faces amongst the Everton crowd. I don't think they saw that coming, did they? I don't think we did either.
Well, no, I mean, moments before that goal we were just saying how impressive Everton have been in the first 10 minutes, and then all of a sudden they find themselves one goal down, which will be a huge surprise to them and everybody watching the crowd as well. But this gives West Ham something to defend, something to hold on to, and if they can get another decent counter-attack, you never know, they might be able to build on that lead. But I would expect Everton to keep on playing and keep on going at them like they have done in the first 15 minutes.
Here come West Ham again with Arnautovic. Another excellent ball towards Yarmolenko. Again, there's a bit of space. This time he's wide on the right-hand side. Cuts into the penalty area, lays it back. Noble tries to hang it up towards the far post. There's no one there apart from John Joe Kenny, and Everton managed to get it away. Brilliant tackle, though, on Walcott. Executed splendidly by Masuaku, but his eventual ball goes away towards Jordan Pickford, who's had nothing to do other than pick the ball out of the net.
No, we can hear the crowd getting frustrated with Everton now, because they can see a pattern emerging here. They're having possession, probably 90% possession, and all of a sudden West Ham are gaining possession, going on the counter attack, and Everton are looking very vulnerable at the back when that happens. And the crowd have got onto that, and it's something Everton have got to watch.
Here's Yarmolenko, the goal scorer, just nicking it infield to Noble. West Ham just look more vibrant, they look more positive, don't they? Look more motivated than they have done previously this season.
It's amazing how much of a lift a goal can give you, and we've certainly seen that with West Ham in the 5 minutes since that goal went in. It's given them a huge lift, and they've managed to produce a few attacks to get at Everton, and they've got themselves a free kick in a dangerous position.
They have. It's just wide on the right hand side, it's about 30 yards from goal. Felipe Anderson, the former Lazio man, arrived for 40 million in the summer, is standing over the ball wearing number 8. Also there is Yarmolenko, but you'd fancy Anderson to curl it in, which he does, and it was toe-poke goalwards as well. Decent effort. Was it Masuaku who stretched? It was nice delivery, and he got in front of all the blue-shirted Everton defenders and toe-poked it goalwards, and it was hailed by Jordan Pickford. I mean, you said it, 90% of the possession Everton, but West Ham have now created, 3 useful chances in addition to the one that they've scored. So Everton just they don't look organised at the back, do they? Be it from a set piece or from a counter attack.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, I think if the one thing you would criticise Everton for over the last 4 or 5 games and last season as well is their defensive frailties, and that showed. A simple long ball over the top really created that chance for West Ham to score, which they did. They went on and scored, and we've seen then in the following minutes that Everton can be very vulnerable on the counter attack, and it's something that they've been guilty of many times this season, not just this season but previously.
We're just looking at the goal again. I mean, it was 2 against 1, wasn't it, in the end, and Yarmolenko couldn't miss, but as you say, it was a ball over the top that they didn't deal with that led to it initially. The referee Martin Atkinson has got a yellow card out here, which is going to be brandished in the direction of an Everton player, Calvert-Lewin. Terribly bad challenge.
Just a bit of frustration, I think. He had a bad touch there and lost possession and just tried to chase it down, but it did look like a harsh card, to be fair.
Oh, that's Yarmolenko trying to find Arnautovic. There's a little bit of an understanding growing between those two. Arnautovic playing through the middle and Yarmolenko out on the right-hand side. It was a swerving ball by Yarmolenko outside of the right boot, and Arnautovic had read it. Again, Everton frail at the back, and they've lost it in midfield again. It's Arnautovic once more trying to get the better of Mason Holgate, who makes a very good tackle and tidies up nicely and finds his young teammate John Joe Kenny. But back come West Ham, absolutely invigorated by that early goal. Noble finds Rice. Noble again, West Ham through and through, born just a few streets away from the old stadium at Upton Park. Zabaleta tries to curl it down to Yarmolenko. There's the possession stat, Steve. Everton 64, but it's what you do with it.
Exactly. I mean, you can see that goal has given West Ham huge amounts of confidence. They're not, they're knocking it about. They're creating chances. They're playing balls through. They're making Everton look very poor at the moment. And if you were looking at the teams today, you wouldn't say that West Ham were a struggling side with no points in the Premier League at this moment in time.
They're not. Well, if they win this game, they won't be a bottom 3 side any longer. It would mean that Burnley would be bottom and Newcastle second to bottom. West Ham would go up to 16th if they can hang on to this. Tall order, just short of 20 minutes gone, but here's Anderson finding Noble, centre midfield. Noble just rolls it forward to Yarmolenko and Obiang. No foul there, so Everton will try and counter. Long ball down the line towards Tosun. That's well defended for West Ham by Balbuena, the player who arrived in the summer, a Paraguayan from the Brazilian side Corinthians. how the game has changed. First 10 minutes all Everton, last 10 minutes you'd argue that West Ham have been the better team.
Yeah, and I think one thing we'll say about West Ham is that they certainly won't be sitting back and trying to hold on for a 1-0 win. You know, we know Pellegrini, we know how he plays. I think they'll be looking to build on that, without a doubt.
Here's Idrissa Gueye for Everton. It's an aimless one. Frustration again for the Goodison fans, who disappointed with that through ball. Here's Mark Noble for West Ham, finding Pablo Zabaleta, now 33 years young, retired from international football before the World Cup. Balbuena finds Issa Diop, who arrived from Toulouse, a £22 million signing in the window. The referee has looked at a foul appeal for West Ham and waved it away as the ball is driven forward towards Calvert-Lewin. Good cover by Zabaleta, and Mark Noble drives forward, has a look up, and plays a rather poor ball which was telegraphed and easily intercepted by Kurt Zouma. If reports are to be believed, Mark Noble, as you'd expect as the senior figure in the West Ham team, called a dressing room meeting and was fairly strident with his words, apparently. Maybe that's had an impact on West Ham's performance today.
Yeah, well, these things can happen, you know. Obviously, something has to be done, and maybe if that has been the case, it certainly had an effect so far in the first 20 or so minutes of this match.
Well, even if you're a player who's only been at West Ham for a couple of weeks, you would listen to Mark Noble, who's been such a huge figure for the club. His 438th appearances for his only club. He's made 321 Premier League appearances for West Ham, so nobody knows more about the club than he does. Marco Silva wearing a black suit, white shirt, no tie. He is looking slightly concerned at the prospect of his unbeaten start going. Here's Arnautovic inside the box, just trying to back into his marker, and stumbling over in the end under pressure from Mason Holgate. No question of a foul. Arnautovic just went to ground rather theatrically, didn't he? But there was very little contact from the Everton central defender, still only 21, Holgate. Pushes it out wide to John Joe Kenny, who's also 21 years old. Touched by Schneidel into Walcott. Here's Sigurdsson. Had a rather more disappointing World Cup with Iceland than he did Euros in 2016. Offside against Theo Walcott. We're at the midway point in the opening half. Everton 0, West Ham United 1. A first Premier League goal for the Ukrainian signing Andrei Yarmolenko, set up by Arnautovic, who just got a shot of Richarlison in the crowd. Suspended, of course, following that sending off 3 weeks ago, serving the second of a 3-match ban for a rather silly piece of ill discipline.
Yeah. And not an ideal time to have a ban like that just before the international break. You've got a good few weeks without football.
Yeah, he did actually score a couple for Brazil, and he made his debut for his country during the international break, and managed to get a couple of goals to get his international career up and running. But as you say, he's not available in domestic football at the moment. Here's Theo Walcott, brilliant tackle by Issa Diop. West Ham are really at it at the moment, aren't they? That's lovely play, and a little back heel by Yarmolenko has been very impressive today. I think West Ham fans generally in the first 4 games have been slightly underwhelmed by Yarmolenko, but I think they're seeing a good player here at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, he certainly seems at it today, and obviously the goal will give him a huge boost, and he's at the end of most things that West Ham are producing today, and he seems to be pairing up well with an Arnautovic at the moment, so it's all going well for them today so far.
Well, he must be half decent, because only one player in Ukrainian history has scored more international goals than Yarmolenko, and that of course is Andrei Shevchenko. He's got 36 international goals, Yarmolenko, the latest of which was in a 1-0 win against Slovakia a week ago. So he is certainly coming with a degree of quality. Here's Lucas Dean for Everton. Haven't looked like getting back. They might now, though. The header is by Cenk Tosun, and it was straight at Lucas Fabianski, who managed to push it away. That's the best chance Everton have had to equalise. Good cross by Dean, and a good header by Tosun, but too close to the keeper.
Yeah, that's far better from Everton. Digne gets past Yarmolenko there on the left very easily, puts in a great ball, but Tosun's just stretching for it, and he can't quite get the purchase on it that he's looking for, and it's pretty routine for Fabianski in the end.
A little bit more noise around Goodison Park now, as the home fans sense that their team have perhaps regained a bit of equilibrium after going behind. Ball swung out towards Walcott, headed away by Arthur Masuaku, who's preferred to Aaron Creswell on that left side of the West Ham United back four. 25 minutes gone at Goodison. Just a reminder that Wolverhampton Wanderers beat Burnley in the earlier game by a goal to nil. Here's Digne, first time cross in, and it's away by Balbuena. This is Gay, he's got space for a shot. It wasn't a very good one in the end. You could see why he had a go, because it opened up in front of him, but he's just really screwed it wide off his right foot.
Yeah, he was initially looking for a wide ball, but all of a sudden it did open up in front of him. Mark Nova went to his right, and all of a sudden that shooting opportunity opened right up, but he's dragged his shot well wide, really, in a very disappointing effort in the end.
Yeah, it was good 5 yards wide. Marco Silva's wearing a rather resigned expression with a furrowed brow at the moment. Manuel Pellegrini, who turns 65 today, he'll be able to travel on the London Underground for nothing. He'll get a bus pass as well. I'm sure he doesn't use it. I'm sure he doesn't travel by bus, but if he needs to, he can. It's one of the perks of being officially an old age pensioner. That's still very much gainfully employed. Mason Holgate has the ball for Everton inside his own half, still looking to get back into this game after falling behind in the 11th minute. Masuaku for West Ham finds Obiang. Obiang tries the back heel. It comes off Holgate, and it goes away for a throw-in around the halfway line, just by the dugouts there. And Manuel Pellegrini just dispensing a few words of wisdom to his West Ham team. He's also wearing a dark suit, but unlike Marco Silva, does have a club tie on with it. Here's Gylfi Sigurdsson for Everton. Captain today. Hasn't really got into the game very much, Sigurdsson. He is a creative player, of course. Here's Digne forward. Header is by Calvert-Lewin. Not a very good clearance by Zabaleta. His second was better, though. He followed it up with a high volley. Back in it comes from Gay. Zabaleta controls it and finds Yarmolenko. A bit elaborate from him in a defensive situation, but he's got in to make a tackle there and has won a throw-in. He's been one of the game's key figures so far. Andrei Yarmolenko, 28 years old. I'd say not the first time he scored against Everton. 5-2 winners Kiev were in a Europa League round of 16 tie in March 2015 when he scored, and he's done it again today. Zabaleta away for West Ham. Holgate meets it, tries to find Walcott. Walcott does well to control it. Walcott's becoming a bit of a senior citizen. He seems to have been around forever. 29 years of age now. We remember him all as a 17-year-old bursting onto the scene with Southampton.
I certainly do.
Yes. Here he is, Walcott. Can't find the ball through to Gay, though. It's cleared as far as former Manchester United man Morgan Schneiderlin, another who used to play for Southampton. Here's Kurt Zouma, who spent last season enduring relegation with Stoke City on loan from Chelsea. Oh dear, and they've given it away again, and Obiang is here for West Ham, and he's trying to find the through ball to Arnautovic, forcing Jordan Pickford to come quite a way out of his penalty area and make a good challenge in the end. Everton really there were sloppy in midfield once more.
Yeah, Jordan Pickford read that really well there, but like you say, very sloppy play from Everton. It was a good read from Pickford, because if he'd stayed in his penalty area, I think it was Arnautovic was in there, and he would have had a very good opportunity to make it too. But West Ham have really taken the game to Everton since they've scored that opening goal, and Everton are the ones who found themselves on the back foot following that goal.
Yeah, I would agree. West Ham fans will be delighted. Poor recent away record for them. They've lost 6 of their last 8 away games prior to this one, so they've made a lot of long trips, spent a lot of money. I've not seen an awful lot of happy returns, but they might get one today. We're up to half an hour played, and they lead through Andrei Yarmolenko's goal, a tap in after a ball was squared to him unselfishly by Arnautovic. Lucas Fabianski, wearing a dark grey goalkeeping kit, drives the ball upfield for West Ham, but drives it over the heads of everybody. It takes a couple of bounces and goes out of play. West Ham looking to preserve a 7-season tenure in the Premier League, promoted in 2012, having been relegated the season before. That season, in fact, was the last one in which they lost their opening 4 games. Here's Yarmolenko bearing down on the Everton penalty area. Yarmolenko looking to shoot, does shoot. Oh, brilliant! Absolutely sensational goal by the game's best player so far, Andrei Yarmolenko. The first was a tap-in, this was anything but. He's curled it gloriously into the corner, no chance for Pickford, and West Ham United could be heading off the bottom of the table. It's Everton 0, West Ham 2.
Fantastic finish again from Yarmolenko, and this one was a lot more difficult than his first. He's got a lot to do there when he picks up the ball in the corner of the 18-yard box. He draws 2 men with him, but then all of a sudden that left foot manages to wrap itself round the ball and he curls it right into the far corner there. Pickford, no chance. Fantastic finish from Yarmolenko.
Wonderful strike. 2-0 to West Ham. Who would have predicted this with 32 minutes gone at Goodison Park? Pickford shakes his head. Nothing he could do about that.
I think he's shaking his head at the fact that he gave the ball away initially to Mark Noble, who picked it up. He was looking to thread a ball through the two centre halves, and Mark Noble made the challenge, which fed Yarmolenko, who then went on to score. And that's Pickford's disappointment. I mean, obviously he can't do anything about the finish, but his disappointment is giving the ball away in the first place.
Well, it was a marvellous goal by Andrei Yarmolenko, a player who copped a bit of criticism from West Ham fans. Didn't settle very quickly into the Premier League. My goodness, he settled into this game. 2 goals for him, 2 goals for West Ham United. He could be heading out of the bottom 3. The last team in England to claim a point. Of course, it's by no means done yet. But they've gone a long way towards ending what's been a miserable start to the campaign. The only other time they lost 4 Premier League games in a row was under Avram Grant, when they were relegated at the end of the 2010-11 season. They've never lost the first 5 games in a season. You can hear the West Ham fans singing "I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles" at Goodison Park. Here's Sigurdsson though. Digne for Everton, looking to go around the outside of Zabaleta, cuts it back. Decent ball, could have gone anywhere. It came initially, I think, off Tosa, and then it pinged around in the box, hit Balbuena, and ended up in the very, very grateful gloves of Lucas Fabianski.
Yeah, I think West Ham now have just got to try and get through to half-time. They've obviously established that 2-goal lead, which is fantastic for them, and you wouldn't argue with that. They've played very well in this football match, but for them now the important thing is to get through to half-time. Everton really now need to start trying to get themselves back into this game. As you can hear, the crowd are hugely disappointed with them at the moment.
Here's Holgate finding Kenny over on the right hand side, a few yards inside the West Ham United half. Nice little flick by Gay for Sigurdsson. Kenny again, but I don't know what he was trying to do there. Well, I know what he was trying to do. He was trying to thread it down the line to someone, but unfortunately he didn't have a look, and there was no one there in that area, and more frustration for Marco Silva.
And the first 10 minutes were okay for Everton, but since then, frustration is the word that springs to mind, really. They're hugely frustrating. A couple of errors, really, shall we say, that have led to West Ham being 2 goals up. Things that could have easily been avoided. And all of a sudden they find themselves 2-0 down.
Well played by Kenny, who's got it back to Jordan Pickford. Kwame Burkina is in Sakumono in Ghana, praying for a first West Ham United win. Well, so far your prayers are being answered. Let us know what you think at TalkSport Live. Bright day in terms of weather at Goodison Park, not so bright in terms of being a home fan here. 10 minutes to go to half-time, trailing by 2-0, but a goal just before half-time could work wonders. Walcott with a volley. Sure, it was meant as a cross rather than a shot, but it forced Fabianski to backpedal and tip the ball over the bar. I can't believe Walcott was going for goal there. He might have been. If he was, it was an extraordinary effort and it was a good save.
He's absolutely not going for goal there. I'm fairly certain of that. He's just looking to play it into an area to look for Tosin or someone else who's getting in there. And good save from Fabianski on his toes.
It was a good save. Sigurdsson's corner, headed away solidly. Only as far as Idrissa Gueye though. And back it comes to John Joe Kenny. Everton pushing and probing in the last 10 minutes of the first half. An excellent header by Yarmolenko. As Everton win back possession. Here's Calvert-Lewin finding Idrissa Gueye. Support from John Joe Kenny. Everybody in a West Ham shirt is back behind the ball at the moment. This is Holgate finding Schneiderlin. Holgate once more. Just plays it low in towards the feet of Calvert-Lewin. Good defending by Balbuena. And Felipe Anderson, who swapped flanks with Yarmolenko and is now over on the right. Yarmolenko on the left on the ball here. Plays it infield to Declan Rice. Rice just rolls it back to Yarmolenko. It's a poor touch by him. And Everton are through here. There's a chance for Tosin. Shot is palmed away. And Calvert-Lewin can't get to the loose ball before Zabaleta. Decent save by Fabianski. West Ham look to counter though now with Felipe Anderson. That's a poor ball. It's in front of Arnautovic. That was Everton's probably best chance to get themselves back into the game.
Yeah, Yarmolenko, the 2-goal hero for West Ham, gave it away there. For me, Tosin took the wrong option. He had Walcott on his right screaming for it, and Tosin just never looked comfortable taking the shot on. He was desperately trying to get it out of his feet, and he had to dig it out of the turf in the end just to get a shot away, which was it's a good save from Fabianski, but it's one that you'd expect him to make.
Yeah, it was
just couldn't get it out of his feet. It was under his feet, and you can see Walcott screaming for it there on his right hand side. He could have just played him in, and he would have had a shot right across Fabianski, but
he hasn't scored since April for Everton. Cenk Tosin, he really didn't get hold of it. As I say, it was a scuff, and Fabianski was reasonably happy diving down to his right hand side just to push the ball away. Here's Calvert-Lewin for Everton. 7 minutes to go to half-time. Theo Walcott into the box. Useful ball. Tosin couldn't get to it and is frustrated with himself. Walcott played one of those balls that defenders don't like. It was played swerving in behind them. Tosin, to be fair, it was quite a long way in front of him. I don't think he was ever going to get a touch, but
good ball into a good area, but it was just asking a little bit too much of Tosin there to get his run in there, and he couldn't quite reach it. But Everton are trying to get themselves back into it, and ideally they would like to score a goal before half time.
Just had a shot on our monitor of Duncan Ferguson now on the coaching staff. Big Duncan, they could do with him at the moment, Everton, I think. Wonderful goal scoring record for the club. Here's Zabaleta for West Ham, just pushing it down the line. Yarmolenko is back on the right hand side and loses out to Lucas Digne. This is Kurt Zouma pushing forward for Everton. Nicely done by Sigurdsson, and it's a useful ball too towards Walcott. Now then, the Everton fans are shouting free kick. Well, they're shouting penalty. I think it's going to be a free kick. Walcott was going for a high ball with Masuaku. They collided. There's a yellow card in Martin Atkinson's left hand, which I assume is going to be shown to Arthur Masuaku. Everton are claiming the ball was inside the penalty area. I'm not sure it was. Oh, it's a high foot, isn't it, on the back of Walcott's neck. It's definitely outside the area, first and foremost. Dangerous play, no question, by Masuaku. He's gone up with his boot. It's landed on the back of Theo Walcott's head, and it's a free kick to Everton.
Yeah, no question that it's outside of the area. That's first and foremost. But it is a dangerous high tackle. And the referee, as Martin Atkinson, has rightly given him a yellow card for that. It's high, it's dangerous. I know Theo Walcott's not the tallest player in the world, but even so, it's very high.
Well, we've got a free kick opportunity potentially for West Ham, for Everton, I should say, and it's come 5 minutes before half-time. This could be a big moment in the game. It's Gylfi Sigurdsson standing over it. He's got a good right foot, obviously. Zuma is up there, Holgate as well. Chance for Everton, it's gone for goal. It's all the way low across the ground, but really quite easy for Fabianski, and frankly, a bit of a wasted free kick, that one.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure whether he meant that or whether he's trying to whip the ball in a little bit higher. Very disappointing in the end, as it was straight down Fabianski's throat. Good opportunity gone for Everton.
Yeah, it was a chance. Really make the most of it. It's a handball surely by Mark Noble. It's spotted by Martin Atkinson, and Everton have a free kick. Is this a bit of activity going on behind Marco Silva on the bench? Seems as if they might be about to bring on a substitute. Everton, there was certainly a player getting a tracksuit top off on the bench, but I couldn't see who it was.
Looked like yes.
Yeah, it would seem unusual to make a substitution so soon before half-time, unless there is an injury, of which there doesn't appear to be. Zuma playing it towards Digne. Digne controls it well. Need to get the better of Zabaleta. Swirls a decent cross in. And Walcott was beaten in the air by Masuaku, and the completed clearance was produced by Zabaleta. But here come Everton again. Strong finish to the second half, to the first half by them, as it has to be, trailing by 2-0. Idrissa Gueye in midfield for the Toffees. Zuma bang on halfway. Tall, imposing figure. Poor ball, though, intercepted by the equally imposing Diop. And suddenly West Ham are on the counter here with Felipe Anderson. Arnautovic in front of him. Anderson just holds the ball up under pressure from Sigurdsson. Still has it, does well, and is eventually fouled by John Joe Kenny. And West Ham United have a free kick in a useful position just before half-time. Nice bit of play there by Anderson.
Yeah, Anderson does very well there. He catches Everton on a 2-on-2, and he's looking for Arnautovic, but he couldn't find him. He was marked, so he kept the ball well there, and he managed to win a free kick for West Ham again in a dangerous position.
Well, Anderson, having won the free kick, is standing over the ball, although Yarmolenko's gone across to try and deliver. Balbuena has gone up. Diop is the tallest figure in that penalty area, but only by a fraction from Kurt Zuma. This could be a big moment for West Ham. It's Yarmolenko who's scored two, looking to create one, but he's put it too close to Jordan Pickford. Wearing all light green today. The England goalkeeper launches it upfield. Zabaleta heads it away. Gueye heads it back. Masuaku just shelters it away from Walcott, but there was an offside flag up far side, and we are going to get a substitution for Everton. Morgan Schneiderlin is being replaced by the Brazilian Bernard just before half-time.
Schneiderlin has either picked up an injury, but I mean he's hardly been in the game, has he? And obviously the manager's looking to make a change just before half-time to get him in the game and give him a few minutes to get adjusted to the game, rather than coming in fresh at half-time.
He doesn't look injured, Schneiderlin, that's for sure. Looks like a tactical one, which is interesting, from Marco Silva. Just over a minute before half-time. Bernard arrived in August from Shakhtar Donetsk, with whom he won the Ukrainian title 3 times. So his second appearance for Everton, having played against Bournemouth earlier in the season. Here's Gueye, now Kenny, and Felipe Anderson blocks that particular drive. Maybe having been a former Shakhtar Donetsk player, Marco Silva thinks he might know one thing or two about Andrei Yarmolenko, who of course played in Ukraine for Dynamo Kiev. Here's Kenny, forward by Sigurdsson to Walcott, but intercepted by Felipe Anderson. He's played quite well also, hasn't he? I mean, they were the two players who were coming in for criticism, that, you know, supposedly expensive signings who hadn't fitted in, but they both played quite well in. Well, Yarmolenko's been outstanding, but Felipe Anderson's come into the game too.
Yeah, he's been very good for West Ham. I mean, you know, to a man, they've been excellent. They've defended well, they've counter-attacked well, and they've taken their chances when they've had them. So, you know, you've got to say, you know, when they've had the opportunities, they've done very well.
A couple of minutes to be added on at the end of the first half. A hugely satisfying half for West Ham United and their travelling support. It's never easy with the British train system to get from London to the northwest on a Sunday and back again. Here's John Joe Kenny finding Idrissa Gueye. Now Kurt Zouma crosses the halfway line with purposeful intent and chips a decent ball out to Dino, who controls it well. There's the cross. Good header away by Balbuena. You're right, Steve. It's hard to pick fault at anyone in a West Ham shirt, the likes of Balbuena and his partner Issa Diop have been solid at the centre of the back four as well. Here's Walcott finding Kenny. Back to Walcott. Kenny again. Maybe enough time for Everton to launch one more attempt to get themselves a priceless lifeline before the interval. Here's Digne under pressure from Zabaleta, comes out to the substitute Bernard, and now Gueye. Bernard again, Gueye again. Once more there was room for a shot. Instead he's played the ball out wide to Kenny. Kenny with the cross for Everton. Sigurdsson! That is a brilliant header, and Everton are back in the game. Last minute of stoppage time at the end of the first half, and West Ham United's lead is halved, and it came from a player who's not renowned for his aerial ability, Gylfi Sigurdsson, but it was an absolute beauty of a header, and it's Everton 1, West Ham United 2.
Yeah, just when we said that West Ham were defending very, very well, they've been punished for a moment of slackness, really. Nobody picks up Sigurdsson's run into the box. I mean, he gets above his man. It's a great header into the corner. Fabianski, no chance.
Super header by Gylfi Sigurdsson, virtually the last touch of the first half, a half in which West Ham United had carved out a 2-0 lead. Andrei Yarmolenko, their Ukrainian signing, with a double. The first to tap in, the second a wonderful curling shot from just inside the box. West Ham looked as if they were going to negotiate the first half with a 2-0 lead, but then Gylfi Sigurdsson with a really good header from a John Joe Kenny cross has put Everton right back in the game. Half time at Goodison Park. It's Everton 1, West Ham United 2.
Premier League football is a truly global game, and TalkSport is the global audio partner of the Barclays Premier League.
It's a massive goal!
With live commentary of all 380 matches this season, available at TalkSport.com in English, Spanish or Mandarin every weekend.
What a goal! What a fantastic sight!
The event horizon of world-class football. Visit TalkSport.com to find out more.
If you're outside the UK and Ireland, we've got you covered. TalkSport's international service covers every Premier League match live. Full commentary, pre- and post-match analysis, and goals as they go in from every single Premier League match.
A line of bodies along the edge of the 6-yard box. Ericsson just rifles it in, and Harry Kane is there to head in almost on the goal line. More Premier League goals in a calendar year than any other player in history.
Every game is covered. Get involved in debates. Ask in-game questions to our commentary team and get goal updates with @TalkSport Live on Twitter.
Edge of the box is Solanke. Through to Mo Salah! Who scores? Number 32! Mo Salah, the record breaker for Liverpool.
Kick-by-kick commentary, expert opinion, international coverage of the world's most exciting football league. Premier League Live. Brought to you by TalkSport Live.
Go to TalkSport.com and sign up now to play the free TalkSport Predictor game. Predict the results of the English Premier League games this season for the chance to win top-flight weekly prizes. From the Gunners getting away goals at Anfield to epic finishes at the Etihad. Click TalkSport.com/predictor and register now for the chance to go top of the table in the ultimate football fan tournament. The TalkSport English Premier League Predictor game. Available online and for free at TalkSport.com/predictor.
The Premier League Preview Show with TalkSport.
Sanchez wants runners. There's 6 players on the edge of the area to aim for. One is Smalling! Unbelievable scenes at the Etihad Stadium. It's 3-2 to Manchester United.
TalkSport's Premier League experts give their views ahead of the weekend's action.
We are joined on the preview show to talk about what has happened at the top of the table in the last few days by our former Premier League winger, Matthew Etherington. Adrian Clark's with us. Chris Iwelumo, fresh from the gym.
Subscribe to the podcast today at TalkSport.com and then hear every kick on Premier League Live.
Oxlade-Chamberlain goes down, but he still finds Salah, who makes it 2 to Liverpool. 1 chance, 1 goal. Number 20 for the Egyptian magician.
Listen to the show on TalkSport.com.
Welcome back. The interval at Goodison Park after a very entertaining first half. Arnautovic, Obiang over the top. Arnautovic is onside here. Brilliant chance for West Ham. They must score. They do. It's swept into the net by Yarmolenko on his first Premier League start. Everton caught on the counter, completely wide open. Unselfish play by Arnautovic, and Andrei Yarmolenko sweeps in a goal, which could be a massive one for West Ham United. 10 minutes gone. Everton 0, West Ham United 1. Bearing down on the Everton penalty area. Yarmolenko looking to shoot. Does shoot. Oh, brilliant! Absolutely sensational goal by the game's best player so far, Andrei Yarmolenko. The first was a tap-in. This was anything but. He's curled it gloriously into the corner. No chance for Pickford. And West Ham United could be heading off the bottom of the table. It's Everton 0, West Ham 2. Was room for a shot. Instead he's played the ball out wide to Kenny. Kenny with the cross for Everton. Sigurdsson! That is a brilliant header. And Everton are back in the game. Last minute of stoppage time at the end of the first half. And West Ham United's lead is hard, and it came from a player who's not renowned for his aerial ability, Gylfi Sigurdsson, but it was an absolute beauty of a header, and it's Everton 1, West Ham United 2. Well, it couldn't be more finely poised at half-time. I guess we were probably expecting to be eulogising West Ham, saying how well they'd done. But, I mean, you know, a goal can change everything, and especially one coming a minute before half-time, it will have completely changed the dynamic in the respective dressing rooms, won't it?
Yeah, well, because, you know, moments before that goal, we were saying how well West Ham had defended and how well they'd played in the match. I mean, that doesn't change. They have defended well. They've played well in the match, but obviously they've just switched off for a second. Not checked Sigurdsson's run into the box, and it's a good header from him, and it's a huge goal for Everton. It gets them back in the game, and like you say, it changes the whole complex of the game now. West Ham will be sort of looking over their backs, thinking, can we now hold on to this? Do we go out and try and get a third goal? And then obviously Everton have now got to push and try and get an equaliser and possibly go on to win the game. So we've got a very interesting second half coming up.
Puts more pressure on Manuel Pellegrini than he would have wanted. I mean, 2-0, and it's a long way back for Everton now. It's less. What will he be saying to his team?
Well, he'll be saying, listen, you know, we take away that goal. Obviously, we go into the half time with a 2-1 lead. You know, we've got to go out there and we've got to play exactly how we've done in that first half. Yes, we weathered a storm for the first 10 minutes or so, where Everton played quite well and had a few chances and looked dangerous. But they've got 2 goals on the counter attack. And look dangerous at other times throughout the half as well. So he'll be, and that's his philosophy. His philosophy is to try and build on anything they've got. So I wouldn't expect them to be sitting back. We said that at 1-0, we didn't expect them to sit back. They went and got a second goal. So I think for them, second half, they'll be looking to go out and build on the lead that they've got. And, you know, obviously on the flip side, Everton have got to try and get themselves back in the game. But that's a huge goal for them in injury time at the end of the first half.
Absolutely. I mean, I suppose the danger for West Ham is that Everton haven't played particularly well in the first half, but suddenly have given themselves a huge lift really out of nothing.
Yeah, and that'll be disappointing for them. Obviously, they'll be very pleased with their first half performance, but you know, allowing Everton back into the game at so close to half time will be a huge disappointment for them. But they've, you know, from a West Ham point of view, they've got to try and put that to the back of their minds and focus on the positives, which were that they went 2 goals up and, you know, could have had other chances to go even further ahead, and they've defended well on the whole. They've looked comfortable. They've moved the ball around the pitch well, and Arnautovic and Yarmolenko have linked up quite well and looked dangerous. So those are the things that they'll be looking to build on in the second half.
2-1 then to West Ham United at Goodison Park. Earlier today, we brought you coverage of Wolverhampton Wanderers against Burnley, and Wolves maintained their good start to the season with a 1-0 win, a first half goal from Raul Jimenez, enough to give them victory. Takes Wolves up to 9th in the table with 8 points from their opening 5 games. They've only lost 1 so far, and Nuno Espirito Santo, their manager, was very happy with the performance afterwards and believes they could have scored more than just 1.
It was a good performance, exactly what you say. A lot of chances. It's not easy against Burnley. They are very organized, very, very narrow. We managed to create that situations, and I think we deserve to win. We are, since the first game, still trying to improve, trying to get better. I think game by game we will achieve getting better. This is the way we want to build the team. Is always a game, a chance to improve. I think this is one of those things that we have to work on, and we're going to do it together. The hard part of the game is to produce, to create. Talent of the players will work on the final touch, that last touch, and things will come.
Well, Wolves won the championship in some style with their Portuguese flavour. I mean, made a great start to the season, haven't they? And that, you know, game like that at home to Burnley, I gather they deserved perhaps more than a single goal. That's a great win for them.
Yeah, they were impressive today, and like you say, they won the championship at a stroll last season, so they've obviously taken that with them into the Premier League and built on the squad that they had. And you know, for them, it'll be a difficult season without a shadow of doubt, but you know, wins like that are a huge boost for them against a team that's qualified for Europe last season.
Yeah, well, Burnley, you just wonder whether the qualifying for Europe hasn't helped them, although of course they're no longer involved in the Europa League, so they don't really have the excuse today that they were fatigued after a Thursday game, but they're bottom of the table as it stands if West Ham get anything from this.
Yeah, I think with Burnley, obviously the further you go in that Europa League, it can impact on your Premier League season, as we've seen with other clubs in the past, but like you say, they don't have that problem anymore, so they can focus on their Premier League survival again for another year, and it'll be a difficult season. I think a club like Burnley, with all due respect, is looking at the Premier League and thinking we're not going to have an easy ride here, so we need to pick up results wherever we can, and they would have seen that as a game today where they could pick up a result, so they'll be disappointed with that, and it's been a very, very difficult start for them this year.
It has, and as it stands, Huddersfield, Newcastle and Burnley are the bottom 3, but that's assuming that West Ham get at least a point in their game today against Everton, which they lead by 2-1. Can they hang on to that lead, or will the late goal revitalise Everton? We'll find out very shortly with the second half coming up. You're listening to Premier League Live.
There's more to life than football, money and fun. Well, not much.
Kick off the new season with TalkSport's £1 million Predictor game.
Register now at talksport.com/predictor and play for free throughout the season.
Play it in the van. Play it on the can. Play it with your gran.
Win £1 million sterling.
It's the biggest prize in the history of TalkSport.
The TalkSport £1 million Predictor game. Players must be 18 or over. See talksport.com/predictor for full conditions. The Premier League Preview Show with TalkSport.
Sanchez wants runners. There's 6 players on the edge of the area to aim for. One is Smalling! Unbelievable! unbelievable scenes at the Etihad Stadium. It's 3-2 to Manchester United.
Talk Sports Premier League experts give their views ahead of the weekend's action.
A great week for Tottenham Hotspur, but still some way off the leading pack. Chris Perry, former Spurs defender, is with us. I didn't want him on, but he's here anyway. Former Chelsea man, Clive Walker's with us.
Subscribe to the podcast today at talksport.com and then hear every kick on Premier League Live.
Oxlade-Chamberlain goes down, but he still finds Salah, who makes it 2 to Liverpool. One chance, one goal, number 20 for the Egyptian magician.
Listen to the show on talksport.com.
One planet, one game, one football. The all-new One Football app is available right now for iOS, Android and Windows phones. With all the latest football news, live scores, results, highlights and more from the Premier League, Champions League and hundreds of international competitions. Download the One Football app from your app store today to follow all the Premier League matches with live text commentary and vote for your man of the match. One Football, the best app for football fans.
If you're outside the UK and Ireland, we've got you covered. TalkSport's international service covers every Premier League match live. Full commentary, pre- and post-match analysis, and goals as they go in from every single Premier League match.
A line of bodies along the edge of the 6-yard box. Eriksen just rifles it in, and Harry Kane is there to head in almost on the goal line. More Premier League goals in a calendar year than any other player in history.
Every game is covered. Get involved in debates. Ask in-game questions to our commentary team and get goal updates with @TalkSport Live on Twitter.
Edge of the box is Solanke. Through to Mo Salah, who scores! Number 32! Mo Salah, the record breaker for Liverpool.
Kick-by-kick commentary, expert opinion, international coverage of the world's most exciting football league. Premier League Live. Brought to you by TalkSport Live.
You're listening to TalkSport's coverage of Everton against West Ham United from Goodison Park. I'm your host, John Anderson. Alongside me is the former Stoke City, Sheffield United and Everton goalkeeper Steve Simonsen. This is Premier League Live. Well, the West Ham United players emerging from the tunnel with their manager Manuel Pellegrini, whose 65th birthday was going extremely well until 2 minutes into stoppage time, when it took a bit of a backward step with that header by Sigurdsson. Marco Silva's men have been out on the pitch for a while, just doing a few sharpening up exercises under the watchful eye of one of the Portuguese coach's training staff. Martin Atkinson back out in the centre with the two teams lined up ready to start the second half. A double from Andrei Yarmolenko for West Ham, putting them 2-0 up. One a tap in, one a gorgeous curling shot into the corner of the net. But Gylfi Sigurdsson's late header has transformed this game potentially from one where West Ham would have been confident of winning to one where, as Steve said, they may well be looking over their shoulders. First 10 minutes of the second half will be interesting to see who imposes themselves. Here's Arnautovic, who set up the first goal, trying to find Yarmolenko, who scored it and then added another. The ball goes out of play. Everton have such a great record against West Ham United. They've won their last 2 home games against them, scoring 6 and not conceding 1, but of course they've conceded 2 today. Here's Mason Holgate, shows a little bit too much of it to Mark Noble, but gets away with it. Everton spread the ball out wide intelligently. Here's Theo Walcott to John Joe Kenny. Kenny hangs it up, Zabaleta heads it away, and then the subsequent clearances by Obiang up towards Arnautovic, who's got Yarmolenko out wide. Those two dovetailed really nicely in the opening half. This is Mark Noble for West Ham United. Just pushes it down the line to Yarmolenko again. Digne with a little back heel gets the ball out of play. No changes by either coach at half-time. Everton have Jordan Pickford in goal, back four of John Joe Kenny, Mason Holgate, Kurt Zouma and Lucas Digne. Then it's Well, they did change it around in the first half. It's Bernard for Morgan Schneiderlin and Idrissa Gueye. In front of them, Theo Walcott, Gylfi Sigurdsson and Dominic Calvert-Lewin, with Cenk Tosun up front. The ball is by the corner flag with Yarmolenko, who's just been tackled by an Everton defender. West Ham will have a throw-in close to the corner flag. I'll bring you their full lineup in just a moment. It dribbles through to Pickford. So West Ham have Lucas Fabianski in goal. The back four is Pablo Zabaleta, Fabian Balbuena, Issa Diop and Arthur Masuaka. Across midfield, Declan Rice, Mark Noble, Pedro Obiang. The two wide players are Andrei Yarmolenko and Felipe Anderson, and up front Marko Arnautovic. Here's John Joe Kenny for Everton, who set up the goal for Sigurdsson with an excellent cross, which the Icelandic midfielder headed superbly into the net. Really was a good header. There's a Everton player down injured, but play continues and Everton have possession, with John Joe Kenny finding Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Solid challenge by Issa Diop. Calvert-Lewin goes down clutching his calf, but only for a moment. Walcott was the Everton player who was down on the edge of the West Ham penalty area, but he's now back on his feet as John Joe Kenny prepares to take the throw in. Walcott's back to him. Here's Calvert-Lewin. John Joe Kenny and Calvert-Lewin were teammates in that glorious win by England in the Under-20 World Cup in South Korea last year. Calvert-Lewin got the winner in the final against Venezuela in Suwon. Here's Walcott, but intercepted by Felipe Anderson. Walcott working hard to win the ball back. Everton perhaps a little brighter in the opening 3 minutes of the second half.
Yeah, they look as though they're up for it second half. They're on their toes. A few strong challenges from West Ham players just to let Everton know that they're not going to allow them an inch in this second half, and they've got a 2-1 lead to defend and possibly build on. So the opening moments of the second half haven't given too much away, really. I would expect both teams to try and score goals, like we've seen in the first half.
Arnautovic has gone down under a challenge from Mason Holgate, holding the side of his face. He's down injured at the moment. We're just seeing a replay of it. It was solid by Holgate. There wasn't an elbow or anything leading. A fairly innocuous challenge, but Arnautovic has come out of it with a blow on the side of the head. James Downing says we're keeping him entertained during his Sunday morning chores until the American football kicks in. Premier League this morning, NFL this afternoon. Perfect sporting Sunday for you. I'm guessing you're in the United States. Here's Issa Diop with a square ball to Fabian Balbuena. Balbuena, the Paraguayan, gets it forward. West Ham winning in midfield. That's good play by Declan Rice, and he's picked out Anderson here. It's Felipe Anderson, edge of the box, just dinks it through. It was a clever ball. It came through to Pedro Obiang, who shuffled it onto his left foot, but found the path to goal blocked. It was lovely play by Anderson.
Yeah, a few little step overs there and found the run of Obiang, but he was off balance, Obiang, and he was just trying to get his left foot around it, and obviously being off balance, the effort was way off target in the end, but a promising move from West Ham.
Yeah, it wasn't blocked actually, it just skewed wide off his left boot. We've had 5 minutes of the second half. West Ham still leading by 2-1. It was an entertaining first half. The last time West Ham won in the Premier League, of course, was against Everton on the final day of last season by 3-1. Here's Yarmolenko, whose goals have made it 2-1 at the moment to them, finding Pablo Zabaleta. Yarmolenko again. Loses out though in a tussle there, and drags Bernard, the substitute for Everton, down onto the ground and gets a yellow card from Martin Atkinson. That's the second West Ham player to go into the box following Arthur Masuaku. Dominic Calvert-Lewin was yellow carded in the first half for Everton. Bernard just pulled to the ground. Yarmolenko getting hold of his shirt, so 2 goals and a booking for the Ukrainian so far. Here's Masuaku for West Ham at pace down the right hand side. Walcott did well sticking to his guns to match him stride for stride and get the ball out of play. Difficult one to predict this, isn't it? It's pretty even at the moment in this second period. Here's Arnautovic just blocked on the edge of the penalty area by Sigurdsson, and then Idrissa Gueye goes through somewhat solidly on Felipe Anderson, and West Ham have a free kick. Bit of a silly challenge there by the Everton player, just pulled him back, and the free kick's in a useful position. Yeah, and I think if Everton think they're going to get an easy ride in trying to peg this game back, then they're completely wrong, because West Ham aren't sitting back whatsoever, which we expected from them. They're going to try and get forward and create more opportunities and get more balls, and certainly they look capable of it so far from the showing in this game. They're lining up a free kick with 7 minutes of the second half gone. It's about 30 yards away from the goal line. It's chipped in towards the edge of the penalty area, nodded back in. Missed completely initially by Calvert-Lewin, which panicked the defenders behind him, but fortunately there was no West Ham player there to profit. Nervous defending by Everton, and another yellow card has been dispensed, and it's another foul on Bernard, this time by Zabaleta, although Bernard went down pretty easily. Zabaleta going into the book for West Ham United, who've now had 3 players yellow carded as the ball finds its way back into their penalty area. Yarmolenko took a chance there trying to let the ball go through, and it just about got away with it. It was a long ball down the middle by Idrissa Gueye. It was onside, and almost a chance. Digne was in there. He was in, and I think it was almost the shock of Yarmolenko letting that ball go, that his touch let him down, otherwise he would have been bearing down on goal. Here's a header away by Jot, not a very good one, straight to Walcott, but pinched away from him by Felipe Anderson, who manages to find Masuaku. This is Anderson again for West Ham United, finding Declan Rice, one of many changes to their team, 6 of them following that defeat at home by Wolverhampton Wanderers, who were winners again today earlier in the game against Burnley. The ball's gone out of play. Okpunalu Uche says, I hope it isn't that stressful not to call John Joe Shelby when you're trying to say John Joe Kenny. Both don't say that, you'll get me confused now.
Never crossed my mind.
No, you're a consummate professional. Kojo Damoa says, hope the Hammers gain their first points of the season from Konogo in Ghana. I know we get a lot of African listeners. Here's Bernard for Everton, cutting into the box. It's a good run. It's not such a good ball though, although some of the Everton fans are claiming Gylfi Sigurdsson was bundled over in the penalty area as he tried to get on the end of that pass by Bernard. Certainly he ended up sprawled on the ground. Martin Atkinson showed not a flicker of emotion, and play continues at the other end with Pablo Zabaleta for West Ham. Yarmolenko back towards Zabaleta. There's a challenge and a useful one by Digne to prevent Zabaleta getting down the right hand side. The booing you can hear is the Everton fans who felt there might have been a penalty here. We're looking at it again. Not for me. Not for me either. No. Sigurdsson's not getting there as far as I'm concerned, and he's just Obiang just puts his body in the way, and Sigurdsson goes down very easily. So absolutely the right decision. Correct. Yeah, just got to cross him, didn't he? And down he went, but no question of a penalty. Martin Atkinson's refereed the game pretty well so far. We haven't mentioned him very much, which is always a good sign. Here's Anderson, who's shown some good skill for West Ham on occasions, trying to find a way through, and in the end fouling the backtracking Mason Holgate. It's a free kick to Everton, but Anderson's shown some good on the ball. Very expensive purchase, of course. And the roar you can hear at Goodison Park is because West Ham United have just conceded a corner with 10 minutes of the second half gone. James Downing is in the United States. He's in Seekonk, Massachusetts. I must have never heard of that. It might be somewhere near Boston, I'm guessing. Here's Sigurdsson with an outswinging corner, good header away, and then hit firmly on the follow-up by Digne, who's not renowned as a goal scorer. The shot was blocked, and West Ham may counter here, but Everton, they switch off, and here's Mark Noble, and in the end, Well, it was shepherded back, but Everton, just two defenders looked at each other, neither reacted, Noble did, and in the end there was just enough cover from John Joe Kenny to get the ball back to Jordan Pickford. What I was just about to say before that happened was you sense maybe that Marco Silva has tried to tighten up Everton in the face of potential West Ham counter-attacks, which they didn't do in the first half.
Yeah, well, he spotted the danger. I mean, obviously...
oh, hang on. Kenny's cross. Away by...
West Ham have looked very dangerous on the counter-attack, and he's been alerted to that and trying to shore them up a little bit.
Here's Sigurdsson. Shot is blocked on the edge of the box by Issa Diop. It's getting lively now. It's an end-to-end game. Here's Mark Noble for West Ham United, and there's a lot of space down there. Two flanks. He's played it perhaps the wrong option to Felipe Anderson when Yarmolenko was in acres of space down the right. Felipe Anderson nutmegs the defender, then falls to the ground looking for a free kick and doesn't get one. Here's Declan Rice for West Ham United, finding Mark Noble. Back to Rice again. Pushed across to Masuaka. Here's Anderson, who's being booed by the Everton fans for what they see as a blatant attempt to fraudulently win a free kick. Masuaku for West Ham down the line. Useful cross and chested back coolly to his goalkeeper by Lucas Digne. Well, the temperature's really risen at Goodison Park, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's really picked up now. And both teams, as we thought, are looking to attack. Obviously, Everton need to get back into the game, but I think, for West Ham, I think their best form of defence is to attack. They've looked very dangerous, particularly on the counter-attack, and they've really picked off Everton in numbers at times, but as we've seen there in that previous counter-attack, they just made the wrong decision once or twice. This time it was Noble who just overshot his pass there, and another opportunity passed them by.
Zabaleta with the throw for West Ham, intercepted. It's up towards Calvert-Lewin, who turns smartly away from Balbuena. Here's Bernard for Everton, the diminutive substitute. Across towards Walcott. Walcott into the box. There are three there. He can't find any of them. And it comes through to Yarmolenko, who loses out to Bernard, who keeps the ball in. Chance here for Everton, but the cross again isn't accurate. John Joe Kenny tries to find a follow-up header into the box. It's intercepted by Zabaleta, who's brought down. And finally, a little bit of breathing space. The first 15 minutes of the second half have flown past in a blur, but the score remains the same.
Yeah, and Bernard's really got himself into the game for Everton. I've been really impressed with him this second half. He's certainly been in the game a lot more than Morgan Schneiderlin was in the first half. He's put himself around. He's very nippy. He's good on the ball. He brings other people into the game, and he's looked very dangerous for Everton.
He played in the 2014 World Cup. Bernard actually played in that ill-fated game against Germany, which they lost 7-1. He came on just before half-time to replace Morgan Schneiderlin. It looked like a tactical switch by Marco Silva, and if it was, you'd have to say it's worked pretty well, because, as you said, Schneiderlin was fairly anonymous. Bernard has popped up in some useful positions, particularly down the left-hand side for Everton in this second period. Here's Obiang in midfield for West Ham, finding Arnautovic. Back to Obiang. Obiang into the box to Arnautovic! That's a beautifully crafted goal by West Ham United! And they are 3-1 up with an hour played. Arnautovic gets his third goal of the season. And they are back with a 2-goal cushion at Goodison Park. It's Everton 1, West Ham United 3.
Yeah, and now Arnautovic is in on the act with his partner Yarmolenko. I mean, again, it's a great finish from Arnautovic. Lovely play by Obiang. Feeds Arnautovic, and he just sticks out that left leg, and it's a lovely guided finish, and again Pickford's got no chance. Just puts that left leg out, slides in onto it, and really controls his finish into the bottom corner there. Again, Pickford no chance, but again, we said, didn't we, West Ham are going to come forward. They're not going to sit on the lead, and again they found themselves in a good position. Again, Obiang and Arnautovic combining, and former there makes a good finish and gives West Ham that 2-goal cushion again.
There was a really good goal. Obiang and Arnautovic combining beautifully. And the main man, as far as West Ham are concerned, generally for goals, has got his third of the season. Scored in the 3-1 win against Everton by West Ham at the London Stadium in May. He's done it again, and the scoreline at the moment is the same. He also scored actually for Stoke against Everton here, a penalty in an extraordinary game which Stoke City won by 4-3 3 years ago. Well, West Ham's fans are singing loudly and joyously at Goodison Park. We have a break because a couple of players have gone down injured. One is Arnautovic, who's just scored for West Ham United. They won't want him to get injured. Cenk Tosun, the other striker representing Everton, is also down. It looks like a calf problem for Arnautovic. He's played really well. He was very unselfish, wasn't he, for the first goal, and as you said, he took it really well. It wasn't that easy a finish. He was at full stretch and he had to get there, he had to meet the ball, he then had to steer it low and hard past Pickford, and he did all those things. Yeah, it wasn't an easy finish. The hard work was done by Obiang. It was a lovely ball in there, and Arnautovic seen that, he was onto it, and he was stretching to make the ball and guide his finish into the bottom corner there. But a well-deserved goal for him. I think overall he's been very good. He's worked well with Yarmolenko. They've created a lot for West Ham, and I think he deserves that goal on his plate today. It looks as if though it might be his last contribution, because he's walking rather heavily off the pitch, and West Ham are about to bring on a substitute, Marko Arnautovic, their player of the year last season. Now he's remonstrating with Pellegrini. Michail Antonio is about to come. It doesn't look like Arnautovic wants to go off or doesn't feel he's injured. He's remonstrating with his own boss there. I don't know whether he's remonstrating with Pellegrini or whether he's trying to get them to make the substitution and he's saying he's off the pitch, but it is happening one way or another. It is. He's talking into Michail Antonio's ear as he goes onto the pitch. Poor old Manuel Pellegrini can't get a word in because Arnautovic just decided to dispense the advice. Anyway, Everton have a free kick. Sigurdsson takes it not very well. It comes out again and is fired a long way wide by Lucas Digne in the end. Sigurdsson hasn't made the most of the free kicks, has he? That was again, it was a disappointing one. A good position for Everton of 25 yards out. We've seen Sigurdsson produce far better efforts than that one. But for Everton now, they've really got to try and get themselves back in the game. Whether that leaves them open to counter-attacks from West Ham, which we've seen them to good effect so far in this match, who knows? But they've got to take that chance now, Everton. They've got to try and get themselves back into the game. Well, it's a clip over the top. Yarmolenko, who's contributed 2 of the goals, has the ball. He's tackled by Lucas Digne. It goes out of play. Everton heading for their first defeat of the season, it seems. West Ham heading for their first win of the season. Everton would stay down in 10th were they to lose this game. In fact, it would be a drop with Wolves having won earlier. West Ham would climb all the way out of the bottom 3 with a victory today. It's already getting very, very tight in the bottom half of the Premier League. Of course, for West Ham would take them within only 3 points of Everton. Here come Sigurdsson, and that's a good ball to Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Calvert-Lewin inside the box, still has it, looks for support, can't find any. It rolls through to Tosun, who on the turn puts the ball over the crossbar. It was a good chance. It came at him rather fortuitously because Calvert-Lewin had been tackled. Tosun was just onside. He turned quickly, but he's managed to get his foot under the ball and lift it too high. Yeah, big chance there again. West Ham are claiming offside, but I think you'll find it came off a West Ham player, so he's obviously not he's not offside, and I think he was a little bit surprised to find himself in that position onside, and it's a difficult finish. He's turning, he's got to get his foot round it and keep the ball down. He's leaning back, but it's a chance. It's a chance, and you'd expect him to do a little bit better from there. And he's not scored in 6 games. Cenk Tosun arrived at the start of the year from Eintracht Frankfurt. Had a good little spell of goals when he arrived, but they've dried up a little bit of late. Goodison Park a little quiet with West Ham having got that third goal, but here's Theo Walcott on the edge of the box. It's a really poor ball by him. Really wasted an opportunity. Lots of time, lots of space, lots of options, and he's just dribbled it through to Fabianski.
You can see what he's trying to do. He's trying to bend it into that area between goalkeeper and back four, but unfortunately for him, he's got it horribly wrong, and it's gone straight into Fabianski, and he comfortably takes it into his hands.
I'm just going to read the tweet out in a minute, which has amused me. Here's Walcott, though, coming forward for Everton. My friend James Downing is explaining some geography to me as Jordan Pickford sweeps the ball upfield. It's a clever ball towards Walcott. Walcott to Tosun. Good covering challenge by West Ham. Diop doing well to get the ball away. James Downing, we were talking about Massachusetts. He says he's 45 minutes south of Boston, 20 minutes south of Foxborough, and then adds that's where Fulham's Clint Dempsey started his career with the New England Revolution. Good knowledge. Great player, Clint Dempsey. We remember him. Don't remember him very fondly from the 2010 World Cup with that shot that went through Robert Green and into the net, but we'll forgive you for that. Substitution coming up again for Everton with 3/4 of the match now having been played. It won't be affected, that substitution, for a couple of moments because the ball is back in play. And here's Mark Noble for West Ham. He's got an overlap in the form of Anderson, tries to play him in. Anderson hadn't read it, and it goes behind for a goal kick, shepherded away by John Joe Kenny, the young Everton right back in for the injured Seamus Coleman. Here is the substitution for Everton. Cenk Tosun is coming off, and he's being replaced by Oumar Niasse, the Senegalese striker who scored the goal that proved to be a consolation against West Ham last season at the London Stadium in May. Do with a goal from him now. They've already once come back from a 2-goal deficit to narrow the deficit, but they need to do it again. Here's Mason Holgate. Diagonal ball across to John Joe Kenny. Kenny into the box. Looks easy for Fabianski. Neither goalkeeper's been called upon to make any great number of saves in this match so far. Oumar Niasse has slotted in alongside Dominic Calvert-Lewin as Everton have only just over 20 minutes to try and salvage something from this match. Here's Yarmolenko for West Ham. Changes direction and plays a clever ball to Zabaleta. Comes out towards Yarmolenko again, but Bernard picks it up. It's a lovely ball by Bernard for Walcott. Walcott through to Niasse, who's just come on. Can he make an immediate impact? Not with a ball like that. A poor one. Trying to find Calvert-Lewin. He's overhit it, and it's gone straight out of play.
Yeah, he immediately puts his hand up with apology there. You can see